Now, for more insight into what Bashir's removal means for Sudan, I'm joined by Niemat Ahmadi, founder of the Darfur Women Action Group. Niemat, welcome back to Africa 54.
Thank you.
Now, first, what was your immediate reaction when you saw this development in Khartoum?
Oh, well, my immediate reaction, I actually cried. And even though we are cautiously optimistic, but I felt the sense of justice, and it gave me a sense that change is real.
Yes, and given that for a person like you, you've for many years been fighting for the rights and justice for people of Darfur. But people look again kind of disappointed because the military has made this announcement and said it will rule for about 2 years. Nobody knows what happens after that. Now, here's the question. What did the demonstrators expect would happen when they were on the streets?
Well, the demonstrators demanding no less than an actual change. And I think the demand is legitimate and just, and that is what we all want to see happen. However, I see this as one step forward in the direction of many million steps that we need to see happen in our fight to achieve justice in Sudan. And it is up to the Sudanese people to make it clear that we cannot be ruled by military again. And to me, it will be very reasonable if people demanded that this military council can have between 1 to 3 months to give power to a the diverse group of interim government that will lead the country through the process of an interim period, not 2 years, not 1 year, but at least like 4 to 5 years to get the country out of crisis. The people who have been impacted by conflict need to go home peacefully to their place of origin and voluntarily. Demilitarizing the streets and everywhere, so many militias that was created by this government, and establishing a new constitution whereby people can have a free and fair election. I don't see 1 year will be enough for people to have that.
Now,
election.
Some will tell you that the military can justify staying in power for up to 2 years in order to get all those things together. For example, to clear any violent groups that may be having arms, and also to build the democratic institutions, perhaps to write a new constitution. And they need the military because the government has been centered around the military. What would you say to those who argue
well,
like that?
I don't think the military need to stay for 2 years because we don't need a military government. The civilian government can replace this military. We need the military to be independent. Yes, of course, we need military to control the security of the Sudan in itself. And it's obvious that many of the military and the generals are they're hard as with the people, but also this is the same military that created the militias and created the mess. They cannot clear it. They cannot create a constitution that will serve the people of Sudan. We don't trust them anymore. That's exactly how al-Bashir came to power and said to people, be patient, give me 2 years, give me 10 years, give me, and all of a sudden now we are 30 years away and he has completely destroyed the country and the people. So.
No. Do you see in Sudan a group of civilians who would be ready to take the reins of power, say in 3-4 months from now?
Of course, I do see. Sudanese are not short of leadership. However, this regime has controlled and then created this perception that the international community in particular has been always justifying. It was like, well, what will happen to Sudan if Bashir is the worst to rule the Sudan. And Sudan has so many civilians who are qualified to lead the people. And it is not about who to lead, but how people want to be led.
Are there lessons that could be learned from countries where there have been regime change? You can talk about Egypt just up north. You can go to the other northern part of the continent and talk about Tunisia, and now we're seeing things in Algeria, or even go down to Zimbabwe. Are there any lessons Sudanese could learn from them?
Yeah, there is a lot of lessons to be learned of either like replacing Ahmed with Haj Ahmed, as Sudanese always play, like just rebranding their face and come back with a different face. That is very like usual for the Islamist group to do. But I think right now the awareness and the conscience that the Sudanese people have reach to, and they rise beyond their circumstances. They are very aware that they need to safeguard this process of change. They need to be vigilant and to articulate their demand and work together to make sure that we bring the change that Sudanese people wanted.
Well, Niemat, thank you very much for your insights. We really greatly appreciate perspectives.
And thank you for that.
Yes. Well, that's Niemat Ahmadi. She's the founder of the Darfur Women Action